Which 16 teams have earned the right to make the trip to Danville and compete for a national championship? That question's going to be answered here in the next few minutes. Welcome in. It's the NJCAA Division II Men's Basketball Selection Show. I'm your host, Phil Constantino, from our NJCAA Network studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. Bit of intrigue this year to that question because it isn't just the traditional 16 teams, all of them district champions, all of them automatic qualifiers. This year, a new wrinkle thrown in. There's one at-large selection. That due to COVID, because of the districts condensing, one at-large team. So several teams watching this show, awaiting their fate, awaiting to see if they are one of the 16 that is going to Danville. Let's take a check of the bracket. Let's not wait any longer. The games will be played April 20th to 24th, once again at the Mary Miller Center in Danville, Illinois. First round games, Tuesday and Wednesday, April 20th and 21st. The national championship game, 7:30 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, April 24th. We will seed it 1 through 16. Again, 15 automatic qualifiers, one at-large selection. All games will be streamed live in their entirety on the NJCAA network. Let's meet our participants. The number 1 overall seed is Davidson-DAVIE. The South Atlantic A champions beat Sandhills 93-83 in the championship game to get here. Davidson-DAVIE was number 2 in the final poll, got a little help, jumped to the number 1 overall seed in the final week of the season. Second appearance in a row in Division II, 6th overall in the program's history. They made 4 appearances in D3 before making the move up. 20-2 on the year. Davidson-DAVIE has won 12 straight and is our number 1 overall seed. And in the first round, Davidson-DAVIE will meet Oakland, the Great Lakes A champions. 11-6 this season. Winners of 6 straight. Beat Delta 66-67 in a good one in the district semis. Now, had the district championship game canceled versus Schoolcraft, Schoolcraft had a COVID issue. So Oakland is through to the national tournament as the champions of the Great Lakes A. First round matchup, Davidson-DAVIE the 1 seed, Oakland the 16 seed, April 20th, 1 p.m. Central Time in Danville, Illinois. We are now joined by Matt Ridge. He's the head coach of Davidson-DAVIE, the number 1 overall seed in this tournament. Coach, congratulations. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about the district championship. You had a huge win over Sandhills, who is also a tournament team. ANCILLA lost in its district semis. They were the number 1 team in the country entering the final week of the season. You were number 2. They lost early in their tournament. You had the championship game later in the week. Was there any discussion with your team about the possibility of, hey, not only if we get this done, we're a district champion, but we could be the number 1 overall seed in the tournament?
Well, Phil, first of all, thank you for having me. And to be honest with you, we didn't talk about the seeding at all. We believe winning is a byproduct of focusing on the process and getting better every day. And we knew Sandhills was going to be a big-time challenge for us. We have a long history with them from being D3 in the same league. And obviously, they're very well coached. And beating a really good team 3 times is not easy. So, Mike Apple does a great job at Sandhills, and we were fortunate enough to find a way to pull away there at the end of the game and come out victorious.
Let's talk about managing change within your program. First, this is just your 3rd season in D2, and in those 3 seasons, you now have back-to-back national tournament appearances. There's a lot of change when you go from D3 to D2, the non-scholarship model to the scholarship model. How have you managed that? How have you had such success in such a short period of time?
Well, recruiting is the backbone of every college athletic program. And, having scholarship money has, been a big challenge, but we've had to get out and beat the bushes and raise some money. And fortunately, we have an extremely supportive community and fan base here at Davidson County. So they've helped contribute to raising a few dollars so we can get out and recruit against some of the really good Region 10 teams in our league. Lewisburg has a long tradition of winning at a high level, and there's several other schools in our league that are really, really good and talented and do a great job on the road in recruiting. So to be competitive in recruiting in this region of the country, you've got to raise some scholarship money to be competitive.
Okay, even more recently, though, you had a name change for your school. We used to go by Davidson County. Now you go by Davidson-Davie. I understand the change happened on January 1st of this year. In a rare circumstances, the season started in January. So you started the season as Davidson-Davie, but the change happened right before the start of the season. So what goes into that, and how does that mess with your team's identity and your overall program's identity?
Well, our president, Dr. Hartness, has done a phenomenal job of trying to get everyone in our community to understand we're in such unique times nationwide, and we have a Davie campus. So, we changed the name of our college to Davidson-Davie for a lot of reasons, one of which is we have a Davie campus, but, we want to be unified as a country. So that's another reason he wanted to include Davie as part of our college name.
So did that mean uniform changes, logo changes, what?
Well, that
costs some money, right?
That's coming. That's correct.
Okay.
So at some point we will make that change, but I'm sure, that's coming down the road. But right now we still have the old uniforms because, this just happened right before the season started.
Interesting. 12 straight wins entering the tournament. What's working? It's a long winning streak.
Well, our bread and butter is half-court man, and our guys have really balled in defensively on that end. But there is so much parity across the country. I think this year is such a unique year with it being, the COVID stuff going on. So I think that all 16 teams that will be making the trip to Danville will have a great shot at winning it all. I mean, in 2011, we were the 1 seed in D3 in the national tournament and got beat by the 8 seeds. So we're trying to stay humble. We are certainly honored that we're the 1 seed, and we're excited. Hopefully it'll give our guys some confidence, but we also understand that all 16 teams that'll be making the trip to Danville are going to be talented and well coached.
At first glance, I think what I'm most impressed by is the balance in your offense. Your leading scorer, Javion Jones, he averages 13 points per game, and it is spread around rather evenly. Where does that come from, and how has that helped your team reach this point and have the success that it's had?
When I played in Chapel Hill and was fortunate enough to be a student assistant, Coach Smith always emphasized it's all about the team, and the more balanced teams are the most difficult ones to prepare for. So we really believe in moving the ball and sharing the ball and having, multiple guys that can score at different levels. So we're blessed to have a lot of guys that can score it, and we're also blessed to have a lot of guys that are unselfish to share the ball.
Last question for you, Coach. 13 seasons as the head coach. What would a national championship mean?
Well, if this group could get the monkey on my back, it sure would feel a lot better. But Nationals, I believe this is the 7th time in 14 years. We've never made the trip to Danville, even though last year we were supposed to. We were D3, I think, the first 11 years of our program. So we're certainly really, really excited about flying out to Danville and hopefully, competing at a high level because we've never made the trip to Danville, and we're certainly excited, Phil.
Davidson-Davie, fun team to watch. 89 points per game on average, puts them top 10 in D2 2-year ball. And they can really share it, too. Number 4 in the country in assists per game, 22.6 assists per game on average. We say thank you to Coach Matt Ridge for joining us. Davidson-Davie, the number 1 overall seed, meets 16-seeded Oakland in the first round. Continuing down the left side of our bracket, the number 8 seed is SANDHILLS. South Atlantic B champs, but that region, that district, it's the AB situation. They are in despite losing the championship game. SANDHILLS, the reigning Division III champion, they're playing up in Division II since D3 chose without enough teams to hold a championship this season. So the program's first ever tournament appearance at this level. Again, reigning D3 champs, the only champion on the men's side crowned in all associations of college basketball in 2020 before the COVID-19 shutdown. The number 9 seed, who SANDHILLS will play? John Wood, the Central A District champions who beat Rend Lake for the district title. John Wood is 16-6 this year, winners of 5 in a row. 6th tournament appearance for this program. The last came in 2019. The 8-9 matchup, Sandhills versus John Wood, 6:30 p.m. Central Time on April 20th. The number 4 seed, Garrett, the East District champs from Maryland. Unbeaten this season, the only unbeaten team in the field, averaging 96.5 points per game. They're also number 1 in the country in total rebounds per game and assists per game. Garrett is efficient, beat Niagara to get here. The East champions will play the 13 seed in the first round, and that is Dallas Richland. Beat Dallas Eastfield in the way here. This is another D3 program playing up this season. 9th national tournament appearance for this program. Had 8 in D3, this their first in D2. 3rd consecutive year qualifying for the national tournament, winners of 8 in a row entering this tournament. And both Dallas Richland and Sandhills, those 2 D3s that are playing up, ranked in the top 20 in the final poll of the regular season. They are good, formidable D3 teams playing in this D2 tournament. Moving over to the 5 seed, and here is our at-large selection. ANCILLA lost in the semifinals of the Great Lakes District B, but ANCILLA, that was its only loss of the season. Number 1 offense in the country, the only team in the country averaging over 100 points per game. Previously number 1 ranked team in the country before suffering that loss. But in as an at-large, in as our 5th overall seed, and in for the first time in the history of the program. The number 12 seed, Southern Arkansas Tech. South Central champions beat Arkansas State Mid-South. 17-4 record this season. Winners of 8 in a row, SAU Tech. Ranked number 15 in the final poll of the season. Southern Arkansas Tech, who averages 82 points per game, is also making its first tournament appearance. So 2 first-timers in the 5-12 matchup between our at-large selection, ANCILLA, and SAU Tech, the champions of the South Central District. 1 p.m. Central Time on April 21st is that matchup. So let's take a look at the first 8 teams we have introduced on the left side of our bracket. Davidson-Davie versus Oakland. Sandhills versus John Wood. Garrett versus Dallas Richland. ANCILLA, our at-large selection, versus SAU Tech. 8 more AQs awaiting their fate, awaiting their first-round matchups. We introduce the right side. After this timeout, it's the D2 Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show on the NJCAA Network.
Over 30 majors in 4 divisions.
Nursing, education, criminal justice,
exercise science.
This is one of the very few schools to honor leadership with scholarship.
Our students go out into the world with confidence.
I know who I am.
Pfeiffer has it all. The only thing that's missing is you.
We're back on the D2 Men's Basketball Selection Show here on the NJCAA Network. 8 teams, their first-round matchups. We've uncovered those. Now, let's get the other 8. Let's get the right side of the bracket. The number 2 seed is Des Moines area, the North Central A champions. Lost in the district tourney, but they are the A champions by way of the North Central's distinction. They were the regular season champions in Region 11. That is how Des Moines area has automatically qualified for this tournament. 17-4 on the season. This is the 6th appearance for this program and the 2nd in a row. Des Moines area will meet the number 15 seed, Southeast. North District champions. Southeast from Nebraska beat Rochester 83-60 in a one-sided district championship game. Number 10 in the country in scoring, 88.7 points per game. This is the 3rd appearance for this program and the first since 2015. Southeast won 3 straight to get here. Des Moines area versus Southeast in the 2:15 matchup of the first round on April 20th, 3 p.m. Central Time. The number 7 seed, Mott. The Bears knocked off the number 1 team in the country, ANCILLA, in the district semis, then beat Muskegon. This, a very impressive road to get here. Great Lakes B champs, 10th overall appearance, the first since 2013, winners of 4 in a row to end the season through the district tournament. The number 10 seed, Johnson County, Plains District champs. Johnson County from Kansas, one of those schools in which both the men and the women made the tournament field. This is Johnson County's 7th appearance. In 2019, their last appearance, Johnson County was the tournament runner-up. 16-4 this season, Mott versus Johnson County in the first round on April 20th. One more quadrant to go. We'll introduce that quadrant after this timeout. Stay with us. It's the D2 Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show on the NJCAA Network.
As the second largest intercollegiate athletic association in the country, the NJCAA serves not only a pivotal role in college athletics, but in higher education. The NJCAA Foundation aims to move the association forward through resources, grant programs, and other special initiatives. Your gift to the NJCAA Foundation will make a difference and create opportunities.
We welcome you back into our NJCAA Network studios as we continue on the D2 Men's Basketball Championship Selection Show. 12 of the 16 teams have been introduced and know their first-round matchups. There are 4 automatic qualifiers left, awaiting their matchup and opponent. Let's get to the final quadrant of our bracket. The number 3 seed, the Midwest champions, South Suburban, beat Bryant and Stratton, Wisconsin, in its district championship game. Number 6 seed last year, South Suburban, is back and led by the nation's leading scorer, DeShadre Washington. He averages 26.4 points per game. That's 15 more points than his next closest teammate. Think he'll be key if South Suburban can make a run? Again, the number 1 scorer in the country, Washington. And South Suburban is 18-4 this year, champions of the Midwest. The number 14 seed, Henry Ford, the Great Lakes C champions, who took down a 1-loss ranked team to get here. They had the celebration after beating Bryant and Stratton, Ohio, 68-63 in the championship game. Henry Ford, a bid stealer, not ranked, but into this tournament at 10-4 on the season. The second appearance in the national tournament for Henry Ford and the first in 12 years. The number 6 seed is Iowa Lakes. North Central B champs won the district tourney, so they get the B distinction after beating Southwestern in the title game. 18-7 this year. They are tied for the most games played in the country entering this tournament. Good for them in this COVID-plagued season. Winners of 5 straight, in for the 5th time in the program's history, and the first time since 2013. And Iowa Lakes will play the final team for us to introduce, North Central Missouri. Central B champs. Head coach Jeremy Esri, he's in his 5th year. 3rd straight tournament appearance for North Central Missouri, the 3rd all-time. He has quickly turned that program into a national threat. North Central Missouri, winners of 6 straight and 17-6 on the season. That's a first-round matchup, the 6-11 game, Iowa Lakes versus North Central Missouri on April 21st at 11 a.m. Central. Our bracket looks like this. The top 4 seeds, Davidson-Davie, Des Moines area, South Suburban, and Garrett. ANCILLA, the 5 seed, our at-large selection. The other 15 automatic qualifiers. We're now joined by Christopher Depew. He is the men's D2 selection committee chair. Chris, thank you. Welcome. Let's talk about at-large selections right away, because this is new due to COVID for Division II this year. ANCILLA was the #1 team in the country before losing in the district semifinals. Was it clear-cut? ANCILLA's the at-large. This one's easy.
Actually, we did have some discussion. There were several teams in the top 10 that did not qualify for the tournament. But at the end of the day, after a lot of discussion, the decision was made that it was hard to overlook a #1 ranking for multiple weeks. And the committee was pretty clear that that's the direction that we wanted to go.
Who else was considered? I think that might be surprising to some folks, given that ANCILLA was the #1 team in the country entering the final week.
Sure. We were also considering St. Clair Community College, who was ranked #6 in the country, and Spoon River, as well as Kirkwood, were also part of the conversation.
And what was it about ANCILLA, besides the #1 ranking, because those are somewhat subjective, what was the data point for you that set them apart and put ANCILLA into the tournament as the at-large selection?
Well, obviously, being the #1 ranked team in the country for several weeks played a large part into that, as well as the body of work compared to both St. Clair and some of the other teams that were involved in the top 10, including Delta and Bryant and Stratton. We just felt after a lot of discussion that it made complete sense to us that based on the entire body of work, the #1 ranking, common opponents, the on-the-court performance against Schoolcraft made the difference for us to separate St. Clair and ANCILLA and move forward with St. Clair's or at-large.
At-large selection this year is a new thing in Division II. How does that change the committee phone call?
Well, it was a big discussion. Obviously, the pandemic has wreaked havoc across the country on how we proceed and how things are getting done. It was not something we anticipated. We're hopeful next year to go back into the old model of 16 direct bids. However, we knew it was coming early on. The national office worked hard to adjust the bid structure. So we knew we were looking at it for quite a while now. We were keeping a close eye on how things would play out. It certainly was a different conversation than previously, but we feel we got it right.
I'll tell you what, Chris, it makes our selection show a little bit more interesting, just a little bit.
I'm sure it does.
Davidson-Davie as the #1 overall seed. Was there any debate about that, given that Davidson-Davie took care of business, won district, but was also #2 in the country right behind ANCILLA entering the final week?
Sure. There was a lot of conversation about the #1 seed. Obviously, Des Moines area had a terrific season as well, and there was some consideration for them. The committee bounced back and forth quite a bit, but at the end of the day, the overall body of work, the work that they've done over the last several years to stay consistent, and then obviously continuing to play a tough schedule down there out of Region 10, we felt that Davidson-Davie should be the #1 seed.
Can we talk a little bit about a couple of these D3 teams competing in D2? This is another COVID-induced change in the tournament this year. SANDHILLS, the 8 seed, Dallas-Richland, the 13. How did you weight their schedules and what they did? It wasn't entirely D2. It was different for each team. But how did you weight them, I guess, and determine their seeding in this field of 16?
So I think this is where it comes to light that my strong background in the Division III level, I'm very familiar with both the programs at Richland and Sandhills as the Division III host for many, many years. Obviously, Sandhills plays an extremely difficult schedule every year. Davidson-Davie transitioned to Division II several years ago. Sandhills and Davidson-Davie play a lot of Division I schools. So it was a no-brainer that Sandhills was going to be a strong team. They're the defending Division III champions. That was the only championship we were able to pull off last year, right before COVID hit. Richland obviously plays in an extremely strong division down there in the Division III JUCO programs in the Dallas area. They're continually strong. They constantly play a Division I schedule, and we know that both of those teams are going to be very good when they come to the tournament next week. Yeah, it is. We should say it is your first year as the D2 chair. Hardest seeding decision of the field of 16. What was it? 1 and 2. Really? It was 1 and 2. There was a lot of discussion. We spent a lot of time going back and forth about the complete body of works of both Des Moines and Davidson. We spent more time on that than pretty much any other seed, but we think we got it right, and we think we put ourselves in a position for a really good tournament.
Last thing, what was the deciding factor? What was the most important number, I guess, that the committee emphasized when you look at a resume of these teams that separated one from two, that separated the at-large selection from getting in, as opposed to the team that maybe didn't get in?
I guess I would say we continued to look at the body of work. We looked at history of the tournament. We looked at history of the programs. And we just felt it was not a unanimous vote. I mean, I think both of them were very, very close votes. But at the end of the day, the majority felt that Davidson should be at the #1 spot. And at the end of the day, when it came with the at-large vote, we just felt that the #1 ranked team in the nation, who has a nice body of work that just had a bad day on one night, shouldn't be penalized. And we thought that was the best move for the tournament. And we feel that the tournament is set. We have some great matchups, and we're looking forward to moving through the tournament.
Say thanks to Chris. Our final check of the bracket. The #1 overall seed, Davidson-Davie. #2, Des Moines area. #3, South Suburban. #4, Garrett. And our lone at-large selection is ANCILLA. These first-round games will be played Tuesday and Wednesday, April 20th and 21st, again at the Mary Miller Center in Danville, Illinois. The national championship game Saturday night, April 24th. All of these games will be streamed live in their entirety on the NJCAA network, njcaa.org/network. There's the URL to find the NJCAA network to catch all of the action from Danville, including all games in the consolation bracket. Well, that does it for us here at our NJCAA network studios at our national headquarters here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Congratulations to the 16 teams selected, the at-large selection ANCILLA, for getting in, and a best of luck in the tournament in Danville, Illinois. Phil Constantino saying so long for the NJCAA Network.